All right, if you're watching this video, you are probably already familiar with what n8n is, but if you're not, it is basically an open source automation platform. You can also think of it as a free alternative to Zapier if you self-host. So this video today, I'll be showing you a step-by-step guide on how to set up n8n locally using Docker. Whether you're new to n8n or just looking for a fast way to get it running on your machine, this video will walk you through everything from pulling the Docker image to your system to getting your local n8n instance up and running. So by the end, you'll have a fully functional low-code automation platform right on your computer, all completely free, and you can begin integrating AI agents into your workflows. So let's go ahead and jump right in. One of the tools that we will need to self-host n8n is Docker, of course. So go ahead and go to docker.com. Well, I'll go ahead and post this link in the description. But basically, go ahead and download it if you don't have it already. Just choose whichever system you have. And the next tool we're going to need is going to be the self-hosted AI Starter Kit from n8n. So here we will be cloning this entire repo, and this is how we are going to install n8n and run it locally using Docker. So let's go ahead and take a look real quick at what's included in the repo here. So we got 4 things here. We have the self-hosted n8n, which is a low-code platform. And then we have Ollama, which is the LLM platform to install and run the latest local LLMs. And then we have Qdrant, the open source high-performance vector store, and then Postgres for our database. So let's go ahead and take a look at the installation here. And here's the cloning commands that we're going to use. There's a few in here because it varies depending on what system you're running. There's some commands here for NVIDIA GPU users, AMD users, Mac, Apple Silicon users, and then everybody else at the very bottom here. So I'm personally going to be using these commands right here. So you can go ahead and just copy this and then open up terminal. I love coffee. All right, let's go ahead and begin cloning the repo. So it's going to go ahead and clone the repo for me. I'm going to then do cd, which just means change directory, into the self-hosted AI Starter Kit. So now the next step in the repo, it tells us that we need to copy we need to create an .env file, which is where our passwords and other secrets go, using the .env.example. So you can just copy that as well. Paste that into a terminal. Okay, so that'll create our .env file. Okay, finally, we're gonna run the last command. Let's go ahead and run that. And this will start pulling the images that Docker will need to spin up our n8n instance. It's doing 3 main things here. Docker's basically looking at the Docker Compose file, and it's telling Docker the list of services that will be needed for the n8n instance, like I said. And we could see them here. It's Ollama, Ollama CPU, n8n import, Qdrant, n8n. For each service, Docker will then create a container from the images and start it up. So while we wait for that, let me go ahead and pull up this diagram I created to kind of help explain what Docker images are, what containers are, what volumes are. So let's go ahead and start with the Docker images here. So you can think of an image as a blueprint for your application, in this case n8n. It contains a fixed set of instructions that Docker will use to run the application. And the image includes things like the source code, dependencies like Node.js and other libraries, and the environment setup. So let's go ahead and move on to containers. This is essentially a live working copy of your application based on the image. So we can start it, stop it, delete it, or even create multiple instances of the application. And each container runs independently and isolated from each other. So one thing to note is that the containers are temporary, meaning if you delete or stop the container, any data inside it disappears. But that's where Docker volumes come in. So Docker volumes are a persistent storage that lives outside of a container's file system. This is where n8n data is stored, such as n8n workflows, credentials, and logs. All this lives in the volume, and it keeps your data safe even if you upgrade or restart your n8n container. In this way, you can pick up where you left off. All right, let's go ahead and check back on our terminal. It should be done by now. When it's done, you'll see something like n8n ready on, and it'll tell you the port number. So that is telling us that the application is already running and our container is running. And we could also verify this by opening up the Docker desktop, and you'll see this new container that was created 10 minutes ago. If we hit this arrow right here, we can see what's inside of it. We can see our Ollama, Qdrant, and Postgres, and a few other things in there. We'll find n8n as well. If you go ahead and click the link here, it'll open up the application, and you can also just type it into your browser. So let's go ahead and do that now and confirm that our application is not working. And hit enter, and we'll see that the application is not running, and we can create an account. Okay, so we're logged in now. And one of the things that Docker pulled was an n8n import, and that is basically a workflow, demo workflow, and it's right here. So if we click on that, it'll bring up the workflow that has been pre-configured with Ollama. So we can begin building from here or create a completely new workflow. From here, we can also go to the notes panel, and there's a few things we can do here. Of course, we got the autonomous agents. So we can choose from Anthropic, Google Gemini, OpenAI, and drop these into our workflows to generate video, generate text, assistance, whatever you need for your workflow. You can do it here. Okay, so before we wrap up, I actually want to go back to Docker Desktop, and I'm gonna go ahead and stop the container. And I'm gonna try to access n8n again, and we shouldn't be able to, because the container is no longer running. Let's go ahead and go back and start the container once more. And go back to our application. And you'll see that we're already logged in. It remembered us, and that is that Docker volume coming into play here. All right, that should pretty much cover everything. And at this point, you should be good to go. Let me know if you would like to see a video about the sort of things you can do in n8n down in the comments. And if something in the video was unclear, let me know in the comments as well, and I'll try to explain it in further detail. I'll include the link to the self-hosted AI startup kit in the description for you. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.